ladies, gentlemen, and our friends between and beyond, and welcome to a very special episode of Hook Cooks. I am Mitch, your homegrown and always organic monster chef, and tonight in the kitchen of creativity, I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts, delivered fresh this morning by my carefully trained flight team of African swallows. I did try using European swallows, but the damn birds kept dropping them over Europe, so it's no good.
My name is Dishbot. Tonight I will be playing the role of Jack. What do you mean by swallows? Are we being picked up, deposited? What's
swallows are a bird. Yeah, this is confusing for our robot friend here. You can swallow, but a swallow is also a bird.
That's cleared up for me. Thank you.
Well, I'm your lighter critter, Connor. Friends, you know that I'm an outdoorsy type. I've been really struggling, though, to catch fish. Every time a fish is thrown at me, I drop it. We do have a special episode tonight,
yes,
this
that's
evening.
Right.
We have a special guest, Dan Last from Dice Paper Roll. Dan, would you like to give yourself an introduction?
Yes, hello. I am Dan from Dice Paper Roll.
Yeah. Is it true, Dan, quickly, that your podcast, Dice Paper Roll, is the only other podcast that is better served with hoisin sauce?
I believe so. Not many. I'm not a big fan of hoisin sauce, to be honest. But
heartbreaking.
Hot take, I know.
It seems like you picked the wrong name for your podcast.
It really works on our podcast for some reason.
Serves so nice, so right. The tang. Tell us more about Dice Paper Roll, Dan.
Well, we're a Melbourne-based D&D comedy podcast. Started off with a few friends just doing, the classic, just playing a D&D campaign. And then we were like, hey, you know what? What if we recorded it? And we're on the cutting edge of podcasting. Yeah, we could make a Dungeons and Dragons podcast. And then we subsequently found out that there's a million other D&D podcasts out there. But we've been doing it for a few years now. Every year we do Melbourne Comedy Festival, so we've been going into doing live shows.
Oh, that's thrilling to me. What are the live shows like, Dan? What's it like playing D&D in front of a live audience?
It's an incredible amount of fun because we really try to actually bring, the audience on board, because D&D, it's collaborative storytelling,
of course,
and so it's great that we can have a lot of fun up on stage, but the collaboration also comes from the audience. So we usually get the audience to provide our Foley for the shows.
Yeah,
so the audience get free reign. We kind of give a little bit of a warm up, a Goblin Marketplace or something like that, and then warm them into it. But then anytime that the Dungeon Master sort of describes something that kind of warrants a sound effect to come along with it, we get the audience to get involved.
Wow, it seems like you've that constraint playing D&D live in front of people. It seems like you've really risen to the challenge. We're here to be creative and tell our own stories as well. It is time to roll up our sleeves for another shift here in the Hook Cook Kitchen. I am excited, as always. I am to take a pre-prepared prompt from our producer Vinny and turn that into an appealing, appetizing, and oftentimes awe-inspiring radio play segment that we call the Plate Up. If you'd like to submit your own prompt in for hookery and or cookery, you can shoot that through to cooksofhooks@gmail.com or reach out to us across the socials with @hook_cooks. Now, speaking of that prompt, chefs/BFFs, let's get cooking. What are we working with?
This week, what we have is Dance of the Wild.
Ooh. Dance of the Wild.
Dance of the Wild.
That's right.
Okay.
Of the Wild.
Dance of the Wild.
That's okay. So Dance of the Wild, it immediately, because of Breath of the Wild, I was immediately taken as Zelda. I don't know if anyone else was taken immediately down that wild alley.
No.
But I'm just the prompt hero. Me and Dan, we've virgin ears. You spent the time with the prompt. Go ahead, let us know what your best before yesterdays were, your worst and first ideas. Let us know what you've got.
Do you want to start us off, Manny?
Oh, sure. With an offer like that, I can't refuse. Dance of the Wild. This is the interpretive dance deemed by test audiences to be way too hot for TV in the 90s and as challenging to the eyes as it is offensive to the soul, that was choreographed and performed by Kevin Costner as part of the climax to Dances with Wolves. Rumor says that Kevin still knows all the moves and may be saving it for his inevitable presidential campaign.
Inevitable. You reckon?
Hey,
AC getting up there.
Inevitable. It's bound to happen.
It's
Why?
happening.
There's a lot to that one. Okay, so
Surprise announced Kevin Costner's presidential campaign 2028.
yeah, building backwards. So we have a surprise Kevin Costner presidential campaign.
Announced on our podcast, which I think is a huge...
I know.
By me as well, yeah.
I know he probably wants us to signal boost it, but Dan, thoughts on the very first idea shared with you?
Well, I mean, my initial idea went straight to Dances with Wolves as well. I was like, Dance in the Wild, Dances with Wolves. So I 100% get what you're putting down. Didn't realize the presidential announcement, but my God, it just keeps getting better, you know? And it all started off from, Dancing with the Stars style game show. I love it. What would Kevin Costner's preferred style of dance be?
It's got to be like full-blown flamenco with the castanets, like passion, vigor.
But very, very interpretive, I think.
Yeah.
I think he broke dancing.
The wolf dancing alongside him, though.
Yeah. That's the real talent.
Yeah, that's where it's really at.
Yeah, that's where the training's really gone. Jack, your best before yesterday.
All right,
fire away.
Here we go. Dance of the Wild. A ritual performed by TV executives when they wish to summon Bear Grylls and bind him to a contract for another season. The amount of time they perform the ritual without interruption directly correlates to the amount of his own piss Bear must drink on camera that season.
That's amazing.
I love the idea of him kind of emerging from the smoke inside of a ritual circle. Dan, you're familiar with the Bear Grylls, the survival man. What do you take this piss thing?
Well, it does make me wonder how keen Bear Grylls would actually be to be performing well if it's based on how well he performs. That's how much of his own piss he's got to drink. So, does he tank it? Does he just does he just really enjoy the
he likes the piss. That's the thing. I think it.
In my mind, it's the executives doing the dance and Bear Grylls trying to interrupt them so he doesn't have to drink another liter of his own urine.
I see.
So the quicker they're able to summon him, the less pee he has to drink. Right. Do they summon him through time and space, or does he have to just rock up at this point?
Run there once he hears the chant?
Yeah, he's compelled, I think.
He's in the midst of eating a freshly killed snake, and then he's just like, "Oh Jesus, no, not right now, no!"
He's in the jungle, and he's like, "It'll take me days, no."
Or yay.
That's true. That's true.
Piss.
He does have a high quality pour. Mitch, now that we've got the best before yesterdays out of the way, I would love to hear your meat and potatoes, your serious entry for today's episode. Give me your meat and potatoes entry. Mitch, fire away.
Okay. Every day the wilderness encroaches. Every day the thorny vines and brambles tighten their grips around your village. You know other towns are out there. You've seen the smoke signals, heard the cries for help, but the only way to them is through the seething, living wilderness. In the time it takes you to cut away at one thick vine with a machete, 3 more grow in its place. You tried fire and still have the burn scars from that mistake. Only the dancers can pass through, using their flexibility and agile grace to flow between, under, around, and over the shifting vines. It is a beautiful and deadly dance, but it is your only hope. The listener and their crew are a team of dancers using their sweet moves and fresh, funky stylings to find the center of this ever-growing, shambling mound and find a way to save their homes. And what I'm imagining here, I was very inspired. I don't know if you guys have seen the cult classic Ocean's 12. But at the very end of that movie, the villain, the French thief, who I think is just called the Cat Burglar or something. He does like this dance as a way to get through this unbreachable laser field.
I was going to say this is
remember.
clearly inspired by like countless laser infiltration scenes, right? Like Catherine Zeta-Jones or whatever.
Yeah, and he does one where it's like instead of doing like stealthy moves, he puts earphones in and a tape and just like improvise dances his way through it. And I was like, that's cool. Let's do that, but in the fantasy jungle.
Okay. I'll keep in mind we'll have a few Walkmans on standby to funky fresh our way through the thorny jungle deep. Before we get too in love with that beautiful, fresh, funky style, before we flesh it out too much, I do want to find out what Jack has for his meat and potatoes entry. Jack, would you mind firing away?
Sure, here we go. Dance of the Wild. This world is dead. All that remains are the husks of a long-lost civilization, peeking through vast deserts of waste and refuse. Whatever beings lived here are gone, and how they left no longer matters. They may have taken off into the cosmos in search of another home to consume and destroy. They may have met their end on the surface, along with countless other species of flora and fauna, strangled in toxic air or drowning in lethal sludge. This world is dead, but that doesn't mean that hope dies with it. In its last gasps, the spirit of the planet has unleashed you and tasked you with learning the steps to a dance that might return wilderness to a barren wasteland. You must travel across this harsh landscape, from the tops of its mountains to the bottoms of its oceans, brave the technological terrors that are all that is left of a civilization long in the dust, learn the steps, and perform the dance to bring the wild back to life.
Okay, interesting. You've got kind of an outcome there.
Yeah. The dance is the thing that fixes this sort of post-apocalyptic world that's like all messed up.
Yeah, I really got like the imagery of like, you know, the classic like maybe not skyscrapers, but you know, the nature overtaking the ancient ruins, and then within the temple there's just one DDR machine left.
I thought DDR as
I
well.
was like,
Yes,
as soon as it's like there was that, these are the steps that must be taken, and I was like, it's DDR, man.
It's got to be DDR, an ancient DDR machine. It's awesome. That's fantastic.
I was imagining more like the Dance of the Dragons from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Way less
but
cool.
I guess that's like
way less
cool than DDR.
machine all the way.
I love that.
So the picking up of what you've both put down, I think there's a lot to blend here. So we can still have kind of a dead, overgrown world that requires a funky, fresh squad of dancers to manipulate their ways through the jungles, while still seeking out that final dance that will clear the world again, which will, in Jack's version, nature is receded, but perhaps the issue is that it's overflowing. And we need to find the dance to get nature to calm down. The dance of the wild is to placate it and to get it to release its stranglehold on the earth. And it is a DDR machine. I'll make that absolutely abundantly clear. We've got to find our way to an overgrown mole somewhere and find the ancient DDR machine. The nature spirit is a huge dance head, loves DDR, huge on the third generation, fourth let them down. So we need to find some ways to really send it home for him.
Yeah, that's good. I definitely like the idea of it being a DDR machine. I suppose the things that we should sort of flesh out, I suppose, is like, where do you start within this process? And like, what's the steps along the way, right? Like, we know where the goal is and why we're trying to get there.
How do we make it an interesting journey?
What's the sort of starting point?
I was kind of thinking off of Mitch's response in terms of that there is a dance troupe, but perhaps there are rival dance troupes. You know, that it could be a potential dance battle of some description, you know?
Step up to the streets, yeah.
Or those breakdance battles. Someone just pulls out a cardboard mat and then just throws down right in front. But I was thinking perhaps maybe there's like, these kind of rival dance troupes that are perhaps searching for the same goal.
Yeah. The DDR machine lets you maybe further or like make the wild grow more, overtake everything, or recede it. based on
Well,
or it just gives you the ability to direct it.
Yeah.
Control it.
Yeah. That so you could flood your competitors' camps with thorny bramble. But let's imagine your intent is to restore peace to the world, and the bad guys want to choke out the enemies. I love that idea that you'll be like hacking through the jungle, and then suddenly some people come out and they throw cardboard down, and they're like, "What's up? What's up? What's up?
Dissing my fly girl?
What's up? What's up?" That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Okay, so let's try and flesh that out with some basics. We need to know more about like what our home camp is like. So we're essentially probably going to be coming from like a really vanilla style town, like really basic. Like, did you want this to be Mad Max, like living in old technology kind of thing, like ramshackle houses, that sort of thing?
I'm thinking it's like medieval times almost, but built around the ruins of this, like the technology is just dead apart from one single DDR machine that Gaia is clinging,
Okay,
to.
that's the last active screen in the world. It's the DDR machine. Okay, so it's beyond Mad Max. You're saying it's like civilization has crashed and rebuilt a little bit.
I think it just crashed, right? Like people are just like in like villages.
I kind of like being in a dance troupe that is like inexplicably Arthurian.
Yeah, it's huts. It's the old Albert Einstein Fourth World Wars fought with sticks and stones again, and dance moves.
Yeah.
And then maybe your village specializes in, do you think, in a certain type of dance? Or like, I like the idea that if we're building out a one shot of something from this, that people can sort of choose to bring their own preferred flavors to this, like their dance moves.
Yeah, I like that.
Perhaps the way to deal with that is you do that the town they come from is like offcuts and outcasts. So you could be anyone. They don't have a central rhythm or type of dance. Right. They're just survivors that have been exiled, the offcuts from every other tribe. And then when you get into the dense bramble and the thorny forests, you do come across like themed groups that are
like dojos.
Yeah, like a dojo of
like a hip hop dojo.
Samba or flamenco. The two dances I mentioned, I know. Cool. Okay, well, I really like that. I'm going to throw it to Dan. Dan, give me our first dance type. What's the first foreign tribe that we encounter? What is their dance speciality?
Well, I think the first one that comes to my mind is the break dancers.
Yeah.
They've got to have the pop and lock in. They've got to be doing their spinning on their head, legs whipping around like...
Oh, yes. Naturally.
It's just... It lends itself to combat, like,
it's like capoeira.
Yeah,
right?
Well, there could be another tribe that has capoeira.
Well, I like the idea that you come up against the B-boys, but then one of your party, the quiet like guy in the back, is like, "I got this," and he knows capoeira.
Yeah, that was the question I was going to ask. Like in these dance battles, do you have to dance in their style? It's like you're trying to move through their territory, so you've got to beat them at one of their dances. And maybe that's the advantage that our tribe has, right? Is it's all outcasts. So you have
so you can find a way. Okay.
So our group is kind of a mishmash of all of them, and we've got like kind of an individual class that is one that's capoeira, one that's breakdancing, and then we come across individual tribes that are made up of just a team of each one of those.
Yeah, and then you all right, like tango dancer, you're up.
Yeah.
But you'd have to do like the tango dancer does some stuff with the b-boy person, like to make it that our group can exceed because of our differences.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's cool. It's a fusion. Yeah. It's a fusion specialty group,
Exactly. We do fusion. All right. Well, okay. So we encounter the b-boys. Let's say that this is just into the jungle. We don't need to flesh everything out ultimately because we will be doing a scene for the plate up and diving into the nitty-gritty of one part of the events. But for now, let's just paint with a broad brush the events that will occur throughout this story. So we're starting in a village that's downtrodden, but we need to come across the information that a DDR machine exists. Does anyone have any good ideas for how that comes across us? Like, where do we get that info?
I mean, it's got to be a dance-related dream prophecy.
I guess it has to
I love
be.
just how like matter of fact.
I mean, is there any other way, right?
It's a dance-related dream prophecy, right?
It's an interpretive dance that you all dream together, and then you realize.
wake up like you're sleep dancing together in like a field somewhere.
Oh wow! You wake up and everyone around you is like, "You've been dancing the most beautiful dance," and you're
and
is that Gaia?
The old wizened shamans are like, "We've interpreted the moves of your dance, and it says you need to go find the one remaining DDR machine." Not sure what that means.
To the east, at the mall.
Yeah.
We've been told that some magic artifact will require of you great input. I imagine that you get there and it's like it's a DDR machine and that's meant to be a bit of a blow up the spot kind of moment. Okay, so that's great. I love that you have a simultaneous vision cast with all of your friends. The elders are like, we figured it out. You need to head east for the machine. We don't know what it is, but it's the thing that'll save us. You start heading east. Let's imagine that when you encounter the B-boys, they're like, we had the dream too, and we're not letting you get there. Right?
Yeah.
Everybody's going for it.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody now knows where this thing is, and everybody wants it. And everybody hates your tribe, right? Because you're the outcasts. Whoever the B-boy person is in the crew, these B-boys will come in and they'll clown them. Right?
Yeah, they like kicked him out for not being B-boy enough.
Not be enough.
Why?
C-boy.
Why? Okay, I think we should embed that point down. Is like, why are these people outcasts? Because you can't just like have a group of outcast people who are outcasts for no reason.
You know?
Well, I mean, potentially it's they came from these different tribes and they were outcast by them. Their style wasn't fresh enough. It didn't.
Yeah.
Or that they tried to dream of a different style.
Different style.
Which could lend itself
like maybe
to the fusion.
The B-boy dancer who, like, before coming to this outcast village, was part of the B-boys and was like, hey, what if we add a little bit of like hip twist in this? And they're like, the forbidden words, the forbidden dance moves, get out of here.
Nothing else.
Nothing else matters but popping and locking.
What is he doing? He's dancing to something in 3/3.
No!
Yeah.
It's our way or the highway sort of thing, like absolute puritanical purists of
100%.
their perspective.
That actually really, it softens the outcasts themselves for being simply open-minded people that wanted to try different things. It means that where they've ended up is actually a better home for them, so they are more comfortable. They're not just a ragtag motley collection of people who can't find anyone else to hang out with.
Yeah.
And maybe there's some sort of inclination that on top of saving the world from the encroaching wilderness and all of that, big picture stuff, that whoever gets to the DDR machine can like crown their dance as the best dance. Like if it, it's the dance that's going to save the world.
Well, I mean, I feel like because you'd get like power over nature, right? Like you absolutely,
cool.
You would become but the DDR machine. What style of dance is its final test?
It's an improv.
Yeah.
Ooh, you have to do it your way.
I think we should touch a little further on the DDR machine and what like.
Yes.
What the motivations for the other tribes getting to it are. I don't know if that's entirely clear, right?
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, if your tribe gets the DDR machine and uses it like to save the world, then your dance is the dance that saved the world, and so therefore it is obviously clearly the best dance, and that brings a lot of power, prestige, and honor to your dance.
I'd push it even harder. The other tribes are puritanical. They would use the power of nature to wipe out every other dance, right? Like you're the fusion tribe. You're the only tribe that has an investment in saving everybody.
Yes.
Right?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Those other tribes suck as a result, but they're meant to suck. We're the good guys.
I think also important, though, because that's very serious, high-stakes stuff, they do respect the honor of the dance battle.
Yes.
Like, at no point is anyone going to, like, shoot you with arrows while you're trying to compete in a dance battle.
No, they're not barbaric.
Yeah, it's a jewel, an honorable
Exactly,
dance
and
jewel.
you must honor that. But I think that's what makes it
yeah.
interesting in terms of that outcast group is that it's that like as long as you're dancing, as long as you have the rhythm in your soul, that's what actually matters.
Yeah.
That's the big picture.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter what moves you do.
Exactly.
You know, it's the music of
Yeah.
your heart.
It's not the moves.
This is
it's
so
I know.
beautiful, guys. Like,
yeah.
I'm emotional.
I mean,
here.
this is together we're strong. Divided, we fall apart and we're weak, and our style becomes busted and old. So breakdancing, we've got one. Normally, if we're doing some kind of like adversarial element, we try to get 3 in just for flavor to show that this is what you would do with this sort of thing. So we've got breakdancing in. Mitch, hit me with a different kind of dance troupe. What do you got?
I reckon it's got to be like classical ballroom.
Okay.
I think that is weird and wacky and wonderful and a lot of fun.
Yep.
And one thing I did also think was like we got to have like a big, like multiple groups converging at the end, right? Some sort of massive dance off there where we can get a few extra styles in.
Like in the
okay.
food court at the mall.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, like in the food court at the mall.
That'd be hilarious if at the very end, like the heads of the tribes have come to try and beat you or something, and it's like an Elite Four situation.
yeah, I'm into that. That's cool.
Cool. All right. Well, ballroom dancing, I love that. Jack, you know that you're up on the podium. You know that you've got to drop a dance type. What do you have?
Tap dance.
Tap
Nice.
dance. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like a very kinetic form of dancing.
You make your own music.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's it.
Now, finding a good tap floor in the
Gonna be
jungle.
hard. Gonna be hard. I feel like that's the
I
point.
guess it's like
That's the
overgrown,
point where
right?
you maybe like up a mountain or something, right?
It's rocky.
Yeah. That's fun.
And I guess in terms of being able to make your own music, all the other dances,
There's no music.
there's no
B-boys,
happening.
That's very
you know,
true.
they've got beatboxes,
Yeah.
right? That one's easy.
Yeah.
But your ballroom dancers are going to suffer for not having some
A bit of yeah.
like a quartet in the background. Yeah.
God, that is a really good
That
point,
is a
actually.
very good point. But I love the idea of the beatboxer because that's going to be there. That helps that situation.
That's a challenge. Yeah.
That is a challenge.
What other
Okay, so-
kind of musical?
What other musics do you make?
It's just all singing, right?
Yeah, I guess like we can, they can have, non-digital instruments. Like they could just have like wind instruments and stuff like that to do the ballroom.
Yeah, like like really
violin
busted
or something.
old, like they look
Yeah.
old as
Violins
hell,
or-
archaic kind of artifacts that have been taped up.
Yeah, or just like a choir.
Yeah,
right?
true.
Yeah.
True.
The rest of the group, like maybe the person who is that expert of dancers, like teaches the rest of the group a song to sing.
Yeah, true. So
Yeah.
it'd be like, you guys are fucking going down. Prepare to eat it. Rum tum 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 tum.
Yeah. It's all a cappella,
Yeah,
barbershop
it's a
style.
bit West Side Story kind of
Yeah,
vibes.
the charts
great.
versus the whatevers. Yeah, okay, cool. I like that. Brilliant. We've got our 3 basic encounters. So let's say that our B-boy encounter is in dense jungle, bramble, start of the piece. We've got our tap dancers up on the tippy top of the mountain toward, let's say that for inexplicable reasons, the shopping mall is on top of the mountain, or up a big hill, right? We got to go up a cliff to get to it, right? We're going up the cliff, we get your ones. What's the middle, like, terrain? Where do we fight the ballroom people? Is it an old building of some kind, a barn?
It's a big old bridge across a river.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
Cool setting. That's a cool setting.
Thanks.
Beautiful, really. The choir's there. It's a cool
Yeah.
setting. All right.
Yeah.
Stone,
You just do a wedding while you're there,
Is it a stone bridge? Is it a rope bridge? Like
I imagine like a wooden bridge. Maybe it's like built off the like ruins of an old stone bridge that's like crumbled to dust, and it's like someone's made this bridge more recently, but
tried to repair it along the way as
a little patchwork bridge.
I like that. Okay. A
And
lot of
like you're not
flavor.
allowed you can't cross the bridge until you pirouette properly and
It is
can
excellent bottlenecking. Like, that's great. Bottlenecking, it does put you in that circumstance where, you gotta square up. It's fun because you'll walk up to them and there'll be like a bit of a Mexican standoff moment, and then they'll be like, ballroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, so we keep advancing. We go up the cliff. We engage with the tap dancers. And then we finally get to the food court where we come up against the Elite Three.
Yeah.
Right? They have been chasing us the whole time. Right? When we beat them, they were like, what? They beat my people? And they've just been like following your trail since, right? They get there, they are all behind you in the food court, and they're like, it's on! And then you have like a final ultimate like dance off between them. You win their respect so that when you do the final DDR, all of the tribes are behind you like, yeah! Because that's, that's a nice kind of final...
I mean, I feel like at the end, like in the food court, we want to have a chance to like flash in on some other tribes that are coming across. Like, this is your pathway. You've gone through the ballroom and the b-boys and the tap dancing, but other like like the flamenco got there, or the like the hip hop dance group has made it there as well. And so there's like a few others, like just to broaden things out, and then it's a
group the belly dancers.
It's like
the belly dancers. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like 12 different dance stuff. Well, who's winning? How do you tell who's winning this dance off?
They're all winning.
People.
Everyone's winning.
I feel like it would be better to like you get there and there's three other, like maybe one other person that's made it, and then they go up against the Elite Three and lose, right? Because the point is meant to be that you're the only person that can get through,
okay. You like get there as you watch the Elite Three, like
the flamenco person get it's like Pokemon, right? You get there and you see the last Pokemon of the trainer get like defeated, and you're like, I gotta do better. So
that's good.
Okay, I like that. DDR machine being our final test. Gaia's own DDR machine. You've got to use fusion to defeat it. All the tribes are cheering you on. You defeat it, and you're able to clear the pathway between the tribes and reunite the dance styles. Damn! I mean, before we put a pin in it, I think we got to get a side salad.
Yeah. So this is part of the show. We've got a couple of additional prompts, Dan, that my mom has prepared for us.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, we got Jack's moment.
So the idea is like we haven't prepared for this stuff at all, so it's sort of just like a pivot.
Yep.
And we've just got to sort of run with whatever we've got.
Spin it up.
Okay, this is interesting. This week the side salad is birds rule this world.
I actually love that. Yeah. I mean, now the flamenco dancers are just flamingos.
Genuine. Yeah, okay, so is this a society that is so far past human culture?
Birds. It's birds.
That it's birds. And they're just like starting to form culture around the things they found, and dancing is a huge thing for them.
And they can make their own music.
True.
Yeah,
whistling, etc. Birdsong,
tweeting that little magpie song.
And you can really get some flavor in on these dance streets now.
For sure.
Cool.
It's
All right.
Be, like the b-boys could be like lyrebirds, because they can like replicate all those sound effects and stuff.
That's
like
cool.
Listening to a bird beatbox, I think is going to be a very challenging situation. But...
You kind of need
be a sound design challenge.
Lips are a pretty important key to beatboxing, which without
these lyrebirds can do like construction noises and stuff. Like the amount of things that they can mimic.
Truly, if you put a lyrebird in front of a hip hop CD for long enough, it'll probably replicate it almost perfectly. That said, it is funnier for me thinking of a conventional bird trying to beatbox. It's very good. I really like the idea that you get to the beatboxer would be a mockingbird, but then you have like the other birds would be like, in my mind, like kind of those smaller squatter birds, so they can be like like cardinals and like little birds, they
can puff their
birds,
chests out. And...
Yeah, there's a bird called a wren. I don't know if any of you can summon a wren immediately to your mind. It may not be.
Yeah, I got a wren,
but a wren
have
would
to
be
start looking at pictures of birds.
He's a wren.
Do the dance of the wild to summon the wren.
Yeah.
Wren to me. I love the idea of those birds. Let's move on. Next we have our ballroom. We need elegant birds, classy birds. What do you got?
Peacocks or
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Peacocks is great. Yeah.
huge win, huge W with the peacock. Anyone other show off birds? Anyone? Parrots? Do you want like Rosellas?
But I mean, they're like. They're not, they're show-off birds.
peacock-
They're not classy.
Yeah.
Peacocks
Those
are
are
classy.
so far out of the water class-wise.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
just going to be all peacocks.
Just peacocks for this one.
The only other thing I was thinking of was like penguins, and I was like, that's nothing.
That's kinda
It's just like
ironic.
they have emperors and kings
Yeah,
and stuff,
yeah.
And the
you know,
suit.
with their like very vertical stance, could make for very
Like-
graceful movements within the
Graceful
ballroom.
dance
Yeah, really good
partners.
posture. Those
Okay,
emperor
it's penguins and peacocks.
together at last.
Together at last. My new Dungeons and Dragons variant.
B&B.
P&P. You've got like a stiff penguin dancing with a graceful peacock, and the peahens are boring, and we'll leave them to the side. Okay, cool. I like that. Next, we've got our so it's ballroom. Sorry,
Tap dancers. Who are the tap dancers?
Who's kind of a feetsy bird? Is it like you can't do flamingo?
Pigeons?
Pigeons?
Pigeons are sort
Yeah,
of
they're
fierce.
pretty-
Pigeon toad.
More like
Yeah.
seagulls,
I
I
suppose.
would say, are more like...
Seagulls. Who's got like long legs would be good, but we need to
Yeah,
save
we
the
can't
flamingo for
use-
flamenco.
Well, but, you've got like your ibis,
Your ibi.
your
Trash
Could,
birds.
could it be
storks,
a
yeah.
flightless bird?
Mm.
Right. So because they're all about their
Oh,
feet,
happy
Yeah.
feet, right?
Or
Like
But not the penguin. It's an ostrich, right? Or an emu.
cassowary.
The dodo. The dodo's come back.
most aggressive. What about a kiwi?
Oh, yeah. Kiwi?
Yeah, kiwi bird.
kiwi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kiwi bird.
Yeah.
There'd be some cute tap dancing birds, little low to the
Tap dancing
ground.
kiwis.
Tiddly, 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 tick. We could also try to think of like cliff birds, like albatross. It do obviously wingspan doesn't really go in for tapping.
Yeah, I mean...
I kind of.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like any kind of bird is really going to somewhat feel like it's going to be happy, Like it's just kind of like you just got the feet for it. Like it's kind of a bit of to
It's
get
a
that
bit of an
specific
ask, isn't it?
tap dancing bird. Kind of goes across the whole gamut, really.
Well, again, though, we say that, and then they did make Happy Feet about tap dancing penguins.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
refuse to conform, though.
Yeah,
We're not doing
in
tap
this
dancing
universe, the penguins do ballroom dance, and that's
Yes.
decided already.
God damn it.
No flexibility on that.
Yeah. Happy Feet got it wrong, and I will take that to my grave.
All right, well, we'll throw it over to, we'll go Kiwi, represent our friends across the ocean. It's an ocean. I'm good at geography. All right. The Kiwi, tap dancing Kiwis, we get past them. We go into the final Elite Three. We see a flamingo doing flamenco get ousted and lose out, and then we step up, and it's step up 3 the mall.
Gotta catch them all.
So we're in the mall. We've defeated them, and then we've moved on. Look, I actually think that we've got pretty much all the major beats that we need for a story, and we've pretty quickly and successfully integrated these birds into our current story.
I think we'll be able to differentiate the groups of birds by what type of bird they are.
This does sort of change a little bit, I feel like, the meaning of the outcast, sort of, and like the background story there of like
Because they're literally different animals.
Yeah.
different species of birds.
No, our ragtag is made out of different species of bird from these places, right? So if we,
Of course,
if we have
yeah.
our breakdancing person would be someone that's the same.
It does add a little more weight to the like outcast element of that bird being like kicked out of like not just their dance troupe, but their species.
It does raise the stakes. I just did have a thought of whether this ragtag group of outcasts, whether it was a case of that you're a peacock and you're supposed to dance ballroom style, but really you've got a love of popping and locking.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you're
that's the music in your
getting
soul,
kicked
yeah.
out of it. So you're actually been outcast by it, but you're the
So
best.
your outcast people are the mismatch types
Yeah.
because they're people that chose those styles over their species.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got a dance off here where it's like a emperor penguin and a peacock doing ballroom across from a magpie who's always dreamed of doing ballroom but got kicked out of his own. I don't know what dance magpies do.
No, it's a Kiwi on stilts.
Headbanging or
it's
something.
a Kiwi on stilts.
Yeah, I really like that because then
Magpie love Irish folk dancing, you know.
Yeah, very true.
They do.
Very
They
true.
do famously. Yeah.
It's shiny.
Yeah.
The sword's on the ground is shiny.
Yeah, because it would mean
I love
these
that.
birds
That's great.
sort of don't belong in two different places, and so you've got like there's more stakes in each battle for each of them. Yeah, I think that's really cool.
And the opportunity to show everyone at the end and unite the tribes is so much more meaningful because they're also saying they're creating like a life that would work for them, right? They're helping everyone like them, which is fantastic. Yeah, I think that sews it all together. It's actually quite a neat little tale. At this point, we'd normally select a scene for the plate up. This will be a hard one because there's some good sequences.
There's a lot of dancing. There's a lot of dancing involved. That much is clear.
Yeah.
There's a huge amount of dancing. I'm going to throw my hat in for the Elite 3. I think that would be the sequence. We normally try to avoid the actual climax end of the story. Because, we're not trying to put a pin in it. We want other people to have the opportunity to close out this story how they might like if they choose to pick up these things. So for that reason, the Elite Four, it's toward the end, but not the very end of the tale. Does anyone have anything that they'd say is a stronger contender?
The other one I was thinking about was the collective shared dream dance that sets you on your dream. That I felt was quite interesting as an idea.
Whatever that interpretive dance, trance-like state, what is that? And Gaia, what is Gaia's
And now,
message?
not only do you need to imagine what it is, you also need to write it in words.
Yeah. And imagine multiple different birds doing it together.
What have we done?
We leave that. Well, that's at the table that would run because you'd be like, oh, you're dreaming this, or in your book you'd be like, Magenta wakes up and does this. But like for our purposes, I would argue that perhaps we could get a little bit more of the sandwich meat by going into a something that's
I guess
more defined and less of a spirit
process
dream.
Was that you would have before that the setup for what this world is, and then after that is the kickoff point for the adventure, right? So you can like
you get some dancing,
and the middle portion is the dancing, which is sort of of everything. But
I reckon because that dancing is not a dance competition, and I mean it's it's beautiful, all birds dancing as one. I think I probably put my vote in for the Elite 3. Starting with like seeing the Flamenco getting danced out, bringing your own crew in, and
I think it also works better. We have 4 creative contributions, so I think there's a little bit more that we can make sure that we can space it out with that way. So let's dive in for doing this Elite 3 sequence. That's what we'll be going into for the plate up. With that decided upon, could you 3 please join me on this dancing way to the tipping... someone help me here. The segue, dancing segue. Anyone. Sway. It's time to dance.
Time to step up.
The long-abandoned food court is once more thrumming with life. Ancient speakers roar loud with unspeakable sound. The moss-covered caverns of this once great supermall, now echoing in the spirited rhythm of flamenco. You stand twitching with anxious energy. Mum Spaghetti, you're nervous. In a moment, you and your team will be in the heart of the dancing action. But for now, You watch as the team before you dances their hearts out. The flamenco flamingos, the flams in casual parlance, are dancing with fire and passion. But lamentablemente, the passion was not sufficiently in fuego. With a crashing cascade of clicking castanets, the team before you is summarily vanquished by the Elite Three, the holy trinity of post-apocalyptic avian dancers. The breakdancing elite, a cardinal with legendary poppage and lockage. The ballroom elite, an emperor penguin of unassailable grace. The tap dance elite, a kiwi who can produce more taps per second than a faucet factory. You've traveled all this way to show these three that the dances, they should not divide us. The vision you'd all had, it had been made clear to you. Gaia had sent you to show these elitist elites that a bird should follow its birdsong, no matter the BPM. You pull on your leg warmers and get to stretching.
The Elite Three's goons clear the broken and beaten flams off the food court floor and turn as one to your squad. They stare daggers at you across the linoleum. You recognize members of the tribes that you defeated on your path to the Super Mall, lurking in the shadows, beaks lowered and tails firmly between their legs. The Elite Three turn to you now. The penguin, standing at their center, stares down its beak at your ragtag crew before letting loose a commanding caw.
Should you wish to move further into this, the Super Mall, conveniently located on the exit of the I-85, you will have to beat each of us in a simultaneous dance-off. The forms will be of our choosing. Be warned, we sit at the very peak of our respective styles. Our moves contain the ferocity of our forebears, honed to a perfect percussive pattern. If you challenge us, then we dance to the death.
The owl judge coughs out a nervous squawk from its perch in the rafters. The penguin rolls its eyes and sighs.
Fine, we dance until there is a clear winner.
You turn back to your crew and meet their eyes. Alucard, the ballroom bat. Happy Beat, the breakdancing penguin. And Legs, the tap-dancing cassowary. In that moment, you know, without a shadow of a doubt, that you are about to win. You've seen each of your comrades perform feats of dancing daring-do these hopped-up hooligans have never even heard of. Confidence buoyed, you spin back to the Elite Three, striking a pose, ready to boogie down.
Music, like nothing you've ever heard, floods the room, a pulsing backbeat beneath soaring strings. You look eyes with the three birds across the food court, their chests puff in and out. The tips of your feathers stand on edge as you wait to move. Beside you, your companions breathe in step, each of you ready to dance to the style that lives in your heart. The Emperor Penguin poses opposite Happy Beat, his posture incredible. He flinches as Alucard's silk black wings twirl forwards in a flawless foxtrot. The kiwi sets a furious pace, their riffle steps scattering sound across the floor. Legs almost loses their footing, trying to match the speed of the smaller bird. A fool's game. Before Legs can topple, Happy Beat throws down their atomic six-step, challenging the breakdancing cardinal. Legs catches up, finding their own rhythm with a half-beat paradiddle that drags the tempo down and forces the kiwi onto a flat-footed heel stand just to stay in the competition. The dance flows, crunks and step heels, beauty and grace, rhythm and drive. The Elite Three are clearly more experienced, but they're also clearly not used to dancing with unfamiliar partners. You see that weakness laid bare when Happy Beat hits a perfect hollow-back freeze, then hits the ground so hard the air knocks the cardinal off balance. You see it when the Emperor Penguin tries to chasse Alucard and commits the grievous ballroom dancing sin of overstepping their partner. Legs seals the deal, performing a flap heel turn and a sharp grab-off over the top of their much smaller competitor. The crowd goes wild, the world turns over, the music crashes to a crescendo, and the owl's eyes roll up in their head like that guy from the WWE meme. Victory.
As the dust settles on the final battle, the last strains of music reverberate against the hard tiles of the shopping mall floor. An ornithological massacre of broken beaks and bruised egos as those who thought themselves to be the greatest of dancers have been defeated by this ragtag group. Happy Beat, the penguin breakdancer, Alucard, the ballroom bat, and Legs, the cassowary tap dancer extraordinaire, stand victorious, showing their former tribes that you can dance however you choose, so long as you feel the rhythm in your soul. You look towards the rundown games arcade beside the food court. The once glittering lights of the play zone, now covered in dust from ages past. The letters hang at angles above the entrance, dangling precariously. When suddenly, a new song begins. A song played from smallest speakers built into one of the arcade machines. Lights flicker and spark as the energy of Gaia is fused into the machine. The speakers explode with sound, blasting a shockwave through the group and the defeated dancers behind. Your feathers ripple in the sonic waves as the machine comes to life. Its 4 directional floor pads light up in neon pink and blue. The handlebars shine in the light of the floor pads as the screen before it comes to life with the letters D, D, R. And within your hearts and minds you hear the sacred words. Dance.
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 Dance. Revolution. Select your music.
Press any button to continue.
Amazing. Insert coins to play.
I was like, do I do a insert one token? And I'm like, I don't know what the currency. We haven't gone into the economy of this.
The birds are just like, we've got no tokens.
I feel like Guy is happy to flip this
Only
one.
the crows have actually gathered all of the coins in society. They run the monopoly, the capitalists.
Yeah. They don't dance. They're just rich.
They've got like hoods, and they walk up and they like solemnly place a token in, and then they recede. It's like, yes, the crows.
Priests, crows.
A rhythmic story that we've told this time. One with many avian and dance styles. It does go to show that when the spotlight hits you, you don't know that many birds off the top of your head. You don't know that many dancers off the top of your head, even. No. Credit there to Mitch for becoming a sudden dancing expert. Excellent chasse.
It's all off the dome, right?
Completely off the dome.
From my years of tap and ballroom and breakdancing.
If you ever see Mitch at a club, fucking stand back.
Exactly. This is an audio format, but trust us, he has been busting so many moves throughout the entirety of this one.
That's it.
Look, it is time for us to call it a shift here in the Hook Cook Kitchen. If you have a prompt that you'd like us to turn into an episode, shoot that through to cooksofhooks@gmail.com or use @hook_cook for the socials.
And if you enjoyed tonight's meal, why not share the love? It is, a dancing-themed episode, and thought, due to my youthful relevance, I'm pretty aware that you can't get anywhere these days in showbiz without a TikTok dance. So, why don't you guys all hit up your socials with the Dance of the Wild, get your bird moves out there, and we'll get it viral, baby. Yeah.
I love that. Mitch's call to action is get it viral. Dan, would you like to give us one last plug here at the end of the app?
Yeah, please, everyone. Check out Dice Paper Roll. You can find us on all the socials, dicepaperroll.com, all that sort of stuff. And if you are in Melbourne, 2024 International Comedy Festival, come and check us out. We'd love to see you there. And thanks so much for having me. This has been an absolute blast. I've had an amazing time coming up with this ridiculous avian adventure. I didn't know what to expect. And if you had told me that this was what it was, this is just not where I expected my day to go. I don't know where it can go from here.
Look, earnestly, with us, you've threaded the unlikely needle of having the penultimate scene involve a DDR machine, and still somehow it's kind of nice. Thank you to Halizna for our opening theme, Sailing Away. And, of course, thank you to Jack's mum for the side salad.
Thanks, Mum.
Thanks, Jack's mum. Sorry.
Thanks, Jack's mum.
It really tied it together. It made it a whole avian adventure. So thanks, Jack's mum.
Yeah, truly. We couldn't have flocked together without your mother's birds of a feather. Thank you to Jack's mum one last time. I've been Connor, your larder critter.
I'm Dishbot playing the role of Jack.
I am Mitch, your monster chef.
And I'm Dan, playing Dan.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you again so much, Dan, for joining us for a wild whale of a time. We happy chefs.
Yes,
Chef. Let's go, in.
It lives on a pineapple under the sea. Are you ready, folks?